Hello. Thank you everyone for joining us today for another episode of Tabifolk Talks. I'm Danielle, the host, and I am hosting this episode today with Simon of Enable Your Trip. We will get to that in a minute, but thank you, Simon, for joining us.
Okay.
Before we start, I just want to give a visual descriptor. So, I'm a white woman who's 30 years old with shoulder length brown hair, and I have a light gray background, and I'm sitting on a recliner that's not really disappearing from the background. And then the Tabifolk app is in the background. So Simon, welcome. And if you don't mind just giving a quick visual descriptor.
Yeah, hi Danielle. Thanks again for inviting me along today. I'm a male, probably seen better days, and most of my hair seems to have slipped backwards. Um, I'm wearing glasses and a black V-neck pullover with a blue shirt. I'm sitting on a white office chair in my office, and in the background is a painting that my father painted many years ago. And there's a white door behind me, and I'm sitting quite comfortably and ready to have a long chat with you.
Okay, great. That's awesome. So before we start, I just wanted to mention these episodes are brought to you by tabifolk.com, which is a travel forum website where you can share resources and information, or if you just want to talk about accessible travel. So that's available at tabifolk.com or an app on your phone. So we invite you to make a profile and start exploring that today. So I also want to say if you have any comments for me or Simon, feel free to leave them during this live stream, or if you're watching after the fact, feel free to comment them and we will be sure to get them answered. So, Simon, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Like a lot of kids when I was at school, I really didn't know what to do, but I was mad keen on transport, airplanes. I used to, a lot of my teenage years were spent at airports watching planes. So that sort of naturally led me into the job in the travel business. I love geography and all that sort of stuff. And I worked in the travel business most of my working life for, sort of high street travel agencies to corporate travel, marketing, tour operation. And I had my own business near my hometown, specializing in round the world travel. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, I met my future wife. She was a special needs teacher. I didn't really know what a special needs teacher did, but hell, I know now because I've been married to her for many years now. And we decided to offer our family as a home to kids with disabilities on a sort of permanent basis. And so that marriage, trying to travel the world with these kids in their wheelchairs and my experience in the travel business, that married up to sort of give the seed, if you like, to the birth of Enable My Trip. I've also worked for an airline for a while, but we were moving packages rather than people. So it was a cargo airline. So I've had a fairly broad experience of the travel business and all the challenges that presents to someone who's got mobility challenges. So yeah, a lot of experience over the years. We actually formed the charity to serve people with mobility challenges initially, because we know how difficult it is to get the right answers and to find the right accommodation and travel services. So.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for sharing more. It sounds like you've definitely seen a lot, of different areas in the travel industry, like working in it, and then also, traveling with other people who are disabled kind of opens up a whole new part of, tourism that I think a lot of people do not know about. And, it kind of shows like there's been so many changes in travel and over the years, but accessibility has been a bit slow, especially
Yeah,
for
yeah,
things like
definitely.
airlines and things like that. But in the US, we've seen a little bit more movement, and then Delta recently with their prototype for letting people stay in their wheelchairs. But
Yeah, I
until
read about that. That's certainly an improvement of a
yes,
massive.
definitely. Yeah. So, but it's the process. So it's good news, but the process has been kind of
Yeah,
long overdue, I would say, and you
yeah.
probably agree. Um, so Enable My Trip is a charity based in England and Wales, if people couldn't tell from your accent. So tell us a little bit about what the charity does and who it serves.
The charity is there for people with mobility challenges, and we are like a sponge of information. And we gather all this information and we store it in one place. Because you know what it's like when you go to social media, I think, great, I saw this article about some fabulous hotel in Mexico yesterday, and I can't find it anymore. Unless you know how to search on Facebook, it's very hard to retrieve this information. So we gather lots of information and store it. You can find it easily on our website just by searching a place, or there's multiple filters. But we originally, I originally thought it was going to be a business, a commercial concern. And I know how the travel business works. The margins are very small unless you own the product. Unless you've got a tour that you've put together yourself, which is unique, then you're relying on commissions from hotels, airlines, etc. And with the regulations here in the UK, I'm not sure how it is in the States, but the actual fixed costs you have to deal with mean that your margins are squeezed every second of the day, that you're not really left with much to play with. And I thought, do I want that kind of pressure? I mean, I've had my own business. I know what it's like. I know how it works. So we decided to ditch the whole idea and just think, oh, well, that was an idea. It's now in the past. 2 years went by and I thought, do you know what? I still want to do this, but let's make it information that we share. We're not up for profit. We can do this. We can include anyone who's got the right fit for our customers or our clients. I won't say clients, not really clients, users, if you like. Because if someone's got a family home and they've not got much money and they can't afford to pay Booking.com or Verbo, whoever, Airbnb, we will include them on our website because it doesn't cost them anything. So we've got that USP, if you like, where we can include everything. We're not governed by commercial agreements or the ability to pay to advertise, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. So if people have a listing that, they deem accessible, then they can list it for free on your
Exactly. We don't
Oh,
charge anything. So we rely on our funding through a different method, but we'll come on to that one later.
okay. Yeah, no, that's very interesting. So like when there's so much information out there like waiting to be shared with people, like, how do you manage all of that information?
We get we drowning in information. And there's a lot of work goes on the background. I do have some volunteers, but we have so much. We've got, I think from the day we started, we had a backlog. And it's a bit like the waiting lists in our health service. It just gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
It just goes on. And we need help. And I will come on to that later, that we need some more people to help us get the message out there, because I get a lot of information from different sources. Social media is a great one. I think it's, people say that social media is a bad thing. It is in some respects, but it's also a very good thing for people all over the world. I mean, like us having a chat now, to be able to share this information and broadcast it, if you like. So a lot of social media information and personal experiences, blogs, talking to people. For example, if you want to hire a profiling bed in Bulgaria, okay, you'll find that on my website.
Oh, okay. Wow.
This is the sort of thing I mean, where if I pick up something and I search in foreign languages if I'm after something specific. For example, if you want to rent a accessible van in Poland, if you Google it in English, you probably won't find it.
Yeah. Yeah,
If
that's
you
a
do
good
it,
point.
if you do it in Polish, you will.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point, and one that I never thought about. But yeah, before we went live, I was just saying how I haven't been abroad yet. So yeah, but that's a really great point. So it was funny because earlier I said, oh, if someone has a listing they deem accessible, but accessible, means something different to
Yeah, what does it mean?
everyone. And it's not like we use it as a general term, but the definition. So like how do you go about conducting your research and assessing the suppliers?
Okay, that's a more toned down version of the question. How do you audit everything? And the answer to that is we don't, because we can't physically do it. I mean, when you think how many hundreds of thousands of properties there are
Yeah.
around the world, and even if you did have someone to audit everything, that's only as good as the day they've done the audit.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you know what it's like. If you've got a bed with filled in sides and you need to get a mobile hoist, you need to get the legs under the bed, it's no good.
Yeah.
Now you go one day and it's good. Next day they change the bed and your audit is out the window, really.
Yeah.
So what we try and do is I do have questionnaires that I send to hotel properties that a lot of them fill in for me, and we put them on a website. But I do make it clear that that's a snapshot, because on the day it was filled in, that was good.
Yeah.
But the other way we do it, if someone clicks the green button on a website on a property and makes a booking request, they can put dates in and they can fill in all their needs. It's like a profile,
Okay.
and that stays on their device to be used multiple times if they wish. So they haven't got to repeat themselves. And it's almost a tick box exercise. You know, I've got this level of mobility. I need this. It'll be nice to have that. I don't need this, but I really need that. It's just a tick box thing with a free format for people to put their own specific requirements in. So that's why we try and minimize any what I call service failures.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And it's totally true. You know, it's even someone leaving a trash barrel in the middle of a hallway makes it
Yeah, yeah,
inaccessible, you know, so it's like or something on a sidewalk, or, you know, so it's really tricky. And, you know, so much of that just depends on, you know, people being
yeah,
mindful and all of that. But I think, yeah, that sounds like a great system. And there's that transparency as well about how it
yeah.
is a
And
snapshot.
there's an audit, because you know, it's like you ring someone up or say, you know, say, oh yeah, yeah, so it's fully accessible when you get to the place, and there's 2 steps up to your room.
Yeah. Yeah,
And you can,
absolutely.
our form, you know, would say, have you got any steps?
Yeah.
It makes it, you know, it's a very basic and simple thing, but it
Yeah.
works. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. Those specific questions really get to, you know, what the information you're looking for, but like the open-ended, you know, are you accessible? You know, people can just say, yeah, sure,
yeah, of
but they're
course
not
we are.
really
Yeah,
thinking about
yeah,
the
yeah. We've got
nuances of it.
questions like where you park your accessible van. Is there any gravel?
Yep. Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, is it level?
Yeah.
Are there any steep hills? You know, all this stuff.
Yeah,
It's
no, yeah, absolutely. That definitely sounds like a great method. So was there a specific moment or what that you decided to come up with enable my trip, or was it just like a seed that kind of grew over time that kind of led you to I know you were saying like some of your experiences traveling with disabled children, but I don't know if there was a specific moment that led to you starting it.
I would say it grew, it built up really, Danielle, because I used to have so many, you know, friends or acquaintances, people I've meet at functions, and we talk about travel, and you know, and a lot of people here in the UK are scared. You know, they're scared of the unknown, and I'm trying to sort of encourage people to get over that barrier. I mean, I know families with disabled kids that haven't been anywhere because, you know, I say just do it in baby steps. Just go away for like 3 nights somewhere, no more than an hour's drive. Just try it and then gradually do it. You know, if you're worried about it, and then of course air travel is another whole different ball game. But to be able to drive somewhere, just to and the advice that people sought from me, um, I kept having this, and I'd end up writing them lengthy emails and, you know, telling them this is a good place, blah blah blah. And I thought, why don't we make this, consolidate all this and our experiences, and put it somewhere that's accessible to everybody. So that's how we were born, really.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I totally agree. Like starting small is great because even I was kind of afraid to go on cruises for a while, and just for different reasons. Like you know, you hear about like stomach bugs, and then also just like being out at sea. But so then I started with like a 3 night cruise, and then now I'm like a you know
Yeah,
cruise. I
cruises are
don't.
great. Though. Cruises
Yeah,
are great, aren't they? Because as provided where you're staying is good for you,
yeah.
they just move the scenery for you, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. And I love how like convenient it is and some of the rooms it's funny cuz they I have found them to be like the accessible rooms more accessible than hotel rooms
Yes,
on a
they are.
cruise
Yeah,
ship.
yeah.
And I'm like if a ship can do it then you know what's the excuse for hotels? But you know that's you know just hopefully will
So
change over
there,
time.
there are some frustrating things though sometimes with cruise ships. You've probably come across this where you know, my daughter, for example, has got very good eyesight, but cognitively, if there's too much going on between where she's sitting and the show, like lots of people, it's sort of there's too much visual noise, if you like.
Yeah,
So she,
absolutely. Yeah,
so she,
there is
she has
that.
to sit. Yeah, she has to sit at the front. Okay,
Yeah.
and either if the ship has those spaces available, they don't, or some of them won't reserve. You know, you get people sitting there, the companion seats. You think, oh, now I've got to ask someone to see if they can move because I need to sit in the front with my daughter, or you're stuck right at the back. Um, you know, because there's no seating. It's all steps down to the front. You can't get there.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
you must have experienced that yourself.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because it was funny because I even just posted a vlog the other night about the shows on a ship, and then I never got to. I reserved them ahead of time, but I never got there early, so I was always in the back. So I'm
Yeah,
like, if you wanted to get those front row seats, and some people need them for sign language interpreters,
sure.
you definitely have to get there way early.
You do.
So that's kind of things people don't think about, like traveling
Yeah,
as a disabled person, like how you have to plan, ahead and get there early where other people can just show up. But I also agree that there's a lot of stimuli on a cruise ship because they're crowded. There's not um a lot of spaces to get away from people except for your room. So, in that case, I would probably recommend someone get a balcony if they like, the fresh air, if
exactly.
they can swing it. But yeah, so there's always like, pros and cons to everything. But I think what the main point is like starting small and seeing,
Yeah,
what you can do. And then I think that's great because it's like you can only build from there. And you just hope that first step isn't a disaster. But that's why I'm like, just try, little steps at a time and see how it goes. But I definitely think that's good advice. And I think what you say would probably be echoed by a lot of people in the disability community where you're sharing information with individuals. And I even know myself because I was born with a rare disease when some people in the community have like a grandchild or a cousin or a friend of a
yeah,
friend that got diagnosed with something similar. They're reaching out to me to talk to them. And so that's kind of going back to what you said about social media. Like, yeah, we can list the cons, like we all know them, but there are for specific communities and sharing information. I think it's great because you kind of can do it in a way where you wouldn't necessarily meet these people because you're dealing with something that's not necessarily an everyday, concern. So I think definitely that's a great part of social media and why websites and services like Enable My Trip
yeah.
are so valuable.
The greatest thing really to see is a video, isn't it?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we reserved a cruise with Holland America and the specific cabin number. I just googled, you know, this cabin number, and this very helpful lady from the States had done this fantastic video showing everything in this cabin, and I thought, wow. And that led me with the question, thinking, hang on a minute, there's a rolling shower, but it doesn't look very big,
Yeah.
and I need to get a hoist in there. So no matter how many times my travel agent asked Holland America how big, how wide is that entrance into that rolling shower, because they've got a bathtub in there as well, which takes up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So, do you know, we never got an answer, Daniel.
Oh, really? Yes.
All they would say is, "Oh, it's got a rolling shower." I said, I know that." But in the
Yeah.
end, I said, "You know what? We can probably manage with. It looks okay, but we're
Yeah.
taking a bit of a chance." But
Yeah.
there is a drain actually in the floor next to the bar, so I thought we can sort this out.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's like, a risk, but where, yeah, like you said, videos are so valuable because it's what you're just kind of like showing and letting people kind of see
Yeah,
their, experience. And I did one of like my room recently. I was so excited when someone commented like, "Oh, I'm staying in this room." I was like, "Oh, yay, it met, it reached someone that's staying in the exact same room." So yeah, I think that's great because I've even done that myself in like other ways. Like if I'm going to a restaurant, I'll look at like Google Maps to look at the outside because it's,
yeah. I
just to
mean,
see.
it's great that we can do this, isn't it? Now
Yeah,
we can do
absolutely, because it's because, and it's you're just hoping, like you said, like you unfortunately didn't get in touch with someone on the cruise line that was helpful. And then even if you do get someone that says like, "Oh yeah, it's this," you have to just hope that they're actually measuring it right
that.
or whatever, that they actually take what you're saying seriously.
And
Um,
what we try and do, Danielle, is if we come across something like that, say a hotel room, someone's, we on that particular listing, we'll put a link to the YouTube.
oh, okay, awesome.
So if we find it, we'll put it on there. So we try and sort of get everything together.
Yeah.
Anything to do with that property or cruise ship or whatever.
Okay, that's awesome to compile the information.
Yeah, because otherwise, it's like you're spending hours googling this and that, and
Yeah.
you're not
Especially
really
if you have to go in another language like you were saying earlier.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you have any memorable like roadblocks that you have faced when traveling that you're like, "Oh, I would never do
Yeah,
that
where do you want to
again," or
start?
"Oh, no."
Okay, the first thing I think, and everyone who's tried to book an accessible room may agree with me, that there's a distinctive lack, particularly in Europe, of any hotel group showing that they've got any accessible rooms that they exist
Oh, wow.
at all. Now I know in the States, I don't know whether it's an ADA legislation or what, but I know you can actually go onto the Marriott website and actually say I want to get an accessible room. Now I've stayed in hotels in the UK. You would never know, Danielle, whether they have accessible rooms at all because there's absolutely nothing mentioned.
Oh,
And for a few years, we used to have a family gathering, and we had to get care for my daughter because she couldn't go because they didn't have any accessible rooms. Or so I thought.
okay.
One day I said, "Oh, it's a real shame we can't take our daughter. I get fed up with her not being able to participate in these events."
Absolutely.
And my wife said, "Phone them up." I said, "Okay," but guys are like, "I'm wasting my time."
Yeah.
But okay, I'll phone them. Anyway, they said, "Oh yeah, we have them. Why don't you say you've got them?
Yeah,
Why is there
absolutely.
nothing on your website?"
Yeah.
Oh, and the excuse was because people who don't need them will probably book them. And I thought, well, that's a poor. You probably got that one. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, but and this is not a small firm. This is a large
Oh, okay.
company in the UK.
Yeah.
But I've actually published their properties and say they do have accessible rooms, and I've had
Okay.
reviews for it. So if they're not doing it, well, we're doing it because
Yeah.
I managed to get hold of some pictures of accessible rooms and stuff like that. It's like when you go onto a hotel website, you'll see the smiling receptionist, you'll see the swimming pool, the conference room. The first thing that anyone with a mobility change wants to see: can I use the bathroom?
Absolutely. Yep.
And on our website, that's normally the first picture you're going to see if we've got one.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the first picture. If you want to see all the other smiling receptionists, and you
Yeah.
go onto their website.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
One of the challenges we've had though with making a listing is that I make a listing today, and in a year's time, is it still accurate?
Yep.
So we're trying to reduce how much information we put on our website, so that you have to go to the organisation's website. So we try and restrict it to the mobility part. And if we find out there's any broken links or anything like that, we're alerted to that. So we try and keep it up to date that way.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And it's I didn't really know that about the UK where they wouldn't advertise it. And I
Oh yeah,
think a lot of that has to do with I think people really underestimate the economic value of
totally.
advertising towards the disability community. Like I know in the US alone, the disposable income for disabled adults is like 500 billion and people just aren't grasping that. And I even think that with cruise ships, because I'm like the accessible rooms book up so fast that there should be more of them.
Yeah.
And especially, with the aging population, but that fear of, oh, non-disabled people will book them. It's like, yeah, you have to hope that won't happen, but you can't punish the people that need them, because
No,
of that, you know?
exactly.
Yeah, because
I
it's
mean,
like you hope it's a very small or 0% of that actually
sure.
happening.
I mean, I've got a hotel near me. I'll tell you about that in a minute,
Yeah.
about what they've done, because it's fantastic and they are getting a lot of business. But just going back to what you were saying about roadblocks on the way, the accessible website, the rooms on the website is one thing.
Yeah.
I've had a tour operator send a sedan car to pick
Oh,
us
no.
up, and we had 3 wheelchair users.
Oh, no.
I said, I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah.
Um, we've had, I think, celebrity cruises actually, Recife in Brazil.
Okay.
And I said, look, we're really fed up. We can't get any accessible excursions. And
Yep.
this very nice lady in the excursion, or she was on the purser's desk actually. She said, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to find one for you.
Okay.
And we get to Recife in Brazil, and the van's there waiting for you. And it's just an ordinary bus
Oh.
with seats in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No lift, nothing, no manners.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, I
And
know,
I
it's
said,
just some people it's like they're missing
I
the
said,
mark.
she's going to be really upset. But I said, you're going to have to call her and get her to come and have a look at this.
Yeah.
But even with the best will in the world for people doing their utmost,
Yeah.
there's still that doubt that sometimes things don't always work out.
I know. Yeah, there's, like, just that one piece that it needs to all kinda come
I
together.
mean, certain parts of the world they're getting better. I mean, a few years ago in Buenos Aires, we couldn't find a wheelchair accessible van at all.
Okay.
And celebrity, they sent like a builder's van with two planks of wood.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I said to my wife, "This is really unsafe.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
how else are we going to get to the airport
yeah, yeah,
unless we, lift them and they, not, we had two kids in wheelchairs, and I said, you got to collapse a chair. And it's not going to work.
yeah,
But I said, we're going to have to do this and just put it down to experience.
yeah. Yeah, a story to tell is, you survive to tell the tale, but, you don't wanna have someone else deal with that,
Yeah.
or deal with it yourself again.
I mean, you probably know in the States that you probably fly out, domestic flights within the States because you got
Yeah.
a big country over there, and you have to.
Yeah.
Unless you want to take a very slow train or Greyhound.
Yeah, we're not known for our train systems.
No, I know. I've been on it. It's a bit slow, but flying with equipment like hoists, like
Yep,
you call them Hoyas in the States,
yep.
um, or medical supplies. I've had a check-in where a check-in agent has tried to charge me excess baggage,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's frustrating. That it's
Oh,
a lack
yeah,
of training, lack of knowledge.
absolutely.
Um, the other one is the big question over the current one that a lot of airlines are very twitchy about is
Yeah.
lithium batteries,
Okay.
and they are quite dangerous. That's why you have to take them in the cabin. They're not allowed in baggage or in the hold at all.
Yep.
But a lot of, or most mobility devices now have got a lithium battery, and there's a regulation about what sort of level of power or that it's allowed to be safe or to be allowed in the cabin.
Yep.
And I actually now carry with me the International Air Transport Association regulations to show
Okay.
some of these people and the ground agents, because I was questioned in one airport 4 times
Oh, wow.
about the same battery.
Oh, wow.
And that
Yeah.
prompted me to print this sheet out and show them what the regulations are,
Yeah,
because
yeah, but it's unfortunate that you have to be the one training them, because 'cause you're
it's a
supposed
lack of training, and it's
yeah.
really frustrating. And I think everyone who's travelled by air may have a horror story about damaged wheelchairs.
Yes, yes, that is one that's definitely, well talked about and I'm glad it's getting a little momentum, but I kind of hate how much time they give the airlines because I know in the US every time like the economy dips, the airlines are like looking for the government to bail them out. And I was like, we can't be giving them any more money until they you
Yeah,
know, fix that. But of course I don't um get any say in the laws here too much, but I'm glad, places like Delta are trying to, like, step up, and
yeah.
hopefully they'll kind of raise the bar.
I hope so. There's another interesting one that you may or may not know about. This is for people who can't, and these are carry-ons as they call
Yeah.
onto the aircraft. And there's an Australian company called Haycomp,
Okay.
and they've produced this piece of equipment called a Eagle Lifter. Now, an Eagle Lifter is very cleverly designed to actually lift the person out of the wheelchair with a sling, so there's no touching the person.
Okay.
And then it's very narrow. It actually goes down the aisle,
Oh, okay.
okay, with the person in the sling, and then the legs of the piece of equipment come out to provide stability, so that it widens.
Okay.
And then a bar goes across electrically with the person, and then just gently lowers them onto the seat. No touching, no manhandling at
Yeah.
all.
Oh, wow. I'll definitely have to look into that because I haven't heard of it, but that would
It's
definitely be a good like
it is now. This is another. You're talking about roadblock. This is another situation. I've had numerous conversations with HACOMP in Australia,
yeah,
and because on their website you see the airports around the world that are listed that have these,
yeah.
and there are some in the states. I think Austin, Texas, is one, just out of memory.
Oh, okay.
And there again, I said to the lady who runs the firm, I said, look, can you tell me, where these are and if everyone's trained and up to speed on how to operate them? She said, unfortunately, we supply them, and they do the training, and that's the end of it. So I've experienced situations where I know this piece of equipment exists, but it's in a cupboard,
Yeah.
or the battery's flat,
Yeah.
or there's no one to use it. So there's a lot of work's got to be done on this, really,
Yes, and
because it is the most dignified and best way of loading someone with mobility problems onto an airplane. It's
yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it, and it would definitely be a great use, before airlines, get up to speed renovating, with
Yeah,
spots for wheelchairs. And I feel like that could be used in other settings as well. Like, we could go off on a tangent of all the other places it could be used, like, like
yeah,
hospitals,
yeah.
like are not always the most accessible, things like that. But
But that's another little hurdle that you have to overcome.
yes, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely, is to get it actually in use and people trained properly and educated about that it even exists too.
I was
Um,
I was in Montreal, and I said to the guy who was giving the assistance, and I said, "Look, I know you've got one here.
okay.
Where is it?" He said, "It's in a cupboard over there.
Oh,
No one knows how to use it."
ugh,
I thought,
yeah, see, that's so
it's
frustrating.
gathering dust. I thought, this is outrageous, really.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah, it's so infuriating. Yeah, that, it's so close and then, it just takes someone to care, but a lot of people don't care unless, it affects
Yeah,
them, which is really unfortunate. But that's one of, the biggest problems, to make progress in the disability community is getting, non-disabled people to care, because they're a lot of times in positions, that
yeah.
we need them, um, but to
Tell me,
switch oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
how would you feel about waiting to get off a plane for 2 hours,
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
waiting for your wheelchair?
Yeah,
This
terrible.
happened to us on a flight from Sao Paulo to London. That's one of the longest routes they do. It's about 14 hours, I think.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you've already
Going for
flown so long.
14 hours, you're sitting
Yeah.
there. You get to, this is British Airways,
Okay.
in their home airport, Heathrow, London.
Wow. Wow.
2 hours we waited.
Yeah. And there's
Now,
really no excuse for it because
and
it's
I felt sorry for the captain because he was so embarrassed, and
yeah,
they rely on the ground agents. This is a couple of years ago now. I
yeah,
think they're waking up to this now because we've been a lot of places in the world. I flew to Haneda Airport, Tokyo.
yeah.
Once the last able-bodied passenger got off, the wheelchair was there, bang,
Okay.
like that.
Yep.
No waiting at all. Now I thought, if this can be done here, why can't this be done everywhere?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is going wrong?
No, I know, because it's like there if you had a person, whose luggage had to wait that long for their luggage,
Yes.
you'd hear about it all the time if it was, happening, but no, yeah, that's way too long. I've had to wait like a half hour or something like that, which, after a long flight feels long, so
You
2
don't.
hours is just
Yeah, you don't want it.
inexcusable. No, absolutely, it's because the flight is already very exhausting. So
Yeah,
yeah, it just doesn't even make any sense why that would happen. But it's just, carelessness and indifference to, people. Um, but to switch gears a little bit to something positive, what are some of your favorite traveling memories?
yeah. Sorry, we draw a bit too much on
No,
the.
no, we talked about, so many vital topics, but, that's the thing I always say about disability advocacy is, like, the con is that there's so many issues that there's so much work to get done, but the pro is you can get involved any way you want, no matter what your interests are because there's a lot of work to be done. But yeah, absolutely, it's important to talk about these things too, but
I know this is not a commercial channel, but I'm going to give a plug to Bacardi, actually.
Okay.
We were on a
Bacardi,
cruise.
I forget, is that what is that, tequila?
The rum, the drinks.
Oh, rum, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know my liquor too well.
On a cruise to Puerto Rico,
Okay.
where the ship docked. Now, as I said, accessible excursions on cruise ships are very, very thin on the ground. You
Yes.
know, so we do a lot of research to what can we do ourselves. What public transport is accessible? Is there one of those hop on, hop off buses that's wheelchair access? Can I do a tour that way? Can I walk to an accessible train station? That sort of stuff.
Yes.
So my wife said, look, if we get the ferry, which is right next to where the ship is, I've from what you've done, Google Maps,
Yeah.
get the little man walking around.
Yeah.
We can probably walk to the Bacardi factory. I said,
Okay. Oh, I've heard of this. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's great. We'll do that. And it was a hot day.
Yep.
And we arrived at their corporate HQ, with the nice manicured lawns and the flowers and the big and the security guy. And he sort of did a double take and he looked a bit stunned. And he said, where have you come from? Because he was expecting some sort of vehicle.
Okay.
I said, we walked here. And
Yeah.
he was like, excuse me? I said, yeah, we just walked here. And it was like a few miles,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
in the heat, pushing 2 wheelchairs. But
Oh,
anyway,
wow. Okay.
we were treated like royalty, I tell you.
Oh, wow.
They were fantastic because I actually went there to buy. I had a milestone birthday coming up. I wanted to buy some special, aged rum to
Okay.
so that's what I did. But the guys there, they were brilliant. And do you know what? I really take my hat off to what they did for us because they asked how are you getting back. I said we're going to walk back. Do you know what they did for us? The guys got an accessible van with a driver and took us back to the ship, and they paid for it.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
So that's
Yeah.
probably the most heartwarming story, really,
Yeah. No,
of
that's
that
amazing.
kind.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
when people go
don't,
the extra mile and go out of their way, it
so
really makes a
anyone listening
difference.
to this or watching this, please don't think that's a pass card to get free transport from the government.
I know, it's a risk to walk a couple miles in the heat, you know?
Exactly. It's just
Yeah.
that we couldn't do it any other way, and we thought, yeah, so we can
Y
do that.
yeah, but
But
I
that was,
have heard really good things about that factory.
yeah, it
I
was really nice of them. I
Yeah.
think another one. The first time, because my daughter was actually a foster child, and
Okay.
she'd never done much in her life,
Yep.
And when she was 12, we took her to Miami, and first time I took her in a hot tub was fantastic. She just laughed, and that was a really lovely moment for her.
Yeah.
And she just loves the water, swimming,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and to be able to do that was great, really fabulous. Um, I've had a very funny encounter with 2 little girls in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina
Okay.
when we used to take our lad when he was small. We used to
Yep.
carry him into the water, and they asked all questions about why he couldn't walk, and we had a lovely conversation with them.
Okay.
Because kids, they just,
They
they
say
just come out.
whatever.
They just come out with the questions,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that was a great experience.
I know,
Um,
I always say that's why, like, they're, like, the best to, like, start with
ah,
educating because they don't judge until you kinda other society, like, teaches them to judge, you know?
exactly. So I
Yeah.
think I think that's some of my most memorable moments
Yeah.
when traveling.
That's
Um,
awesome because it goes from, like, the kind of where people go out of their way, and then the small moments too are, like,
yeah, yeah.
memorable, that's awesome. Yeah. I love that. Is there, like, a specific place I know you said the Bacardi factory, but any, like, other like, like a city or destination that you would recommend for everyone to visit?
I mean, I think you'll see when a city has hosted the Olympics and then the Paralympics, you see massive improvements in their infrastructure
Yes. Yes.
because they have to do it really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think Barcelona was '92. I think the Olympics were in
Okay.
Barcelona, and I thought that was a really accessible city.
Oh, okay. I've actually heard that good things about their
Yeah,
accessibility.
even there's one part, and I was really quite taken with this idea. It's a historical cobbled street, with cobbles,
Yes. Yeah.
and they've got a smooth piece of tarmac
Oh, okay.
for wheelchair users.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because
Yeah, because I mean,
Boston,
you
where
get
I
shaken to
am
pieces,
y
don't you?
yeah, yeah, no, Boston, where I am, it's like, if you're trying to walk on it, it's total fall risk, and then if you try to use a wheelchair on it,
Yeah.
it's like you're just shaking back and forth.
So that was good. You've got the buses are all accessible. The trains,
Yeah.
the trains in Spain are really really good. Straight in, they've got elevators at every station that I've used anyway.
Okay.
Um, so Spain generally is really. I mean, the government now are really going all out to cater for the accessible market.
Okay. Wow,
They're taking it seriously.
that's great to see.
And there's some apartments called the Sant Jordi in Barcelona.
Okay.
Every single apartment is accessible,
Oh, wow. Wow, that's
and
interesting.
people have written quite a few blogs about that because if
Okay,
you,
yeah.
they say if you're going to Barcelona, why bother staying anywhere else?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll definitely have to check that out. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, the Sant Jordi. So I think Barcelona, Tokyo, I thought was really good.
Okay, yeah.
I think because they've got such an aging population, they've got a lot of people with disabilities, in the older age brackets.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so they're geared up for that. And I found getting around in Tokyo really easy. We taken a bullet train. That was great. Easy to book. Get your wheelchair space. Plenty of space to move around.
Oh, okay, great.
So that was Tokyo's good. Just trying to think where else. Oh yeah, one other thing about Japan. We were transferring to the ship from
Okay.
the Yokohama, the port,
Okay.
and we had to take the luggage separate. We had lots of it,
Yep.
and I went in this van, which was really comfortable.
Okay.
And I looked around, and I thought, this will make a great wheelchair van. If anyway, what happened, Danielle? When I got home, because they don't import this into Europe, this particular van.
Yep.
And I thought, wouldn't it be great if you could get one of those as a wheelchair van? And just guess what? Toyota make it as a
Oh, wow.
wheelchair van.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
And I actually imported one from Japan,
Oh, wow.
and it's
Wow.
used every day, and it's excellent. So
Oh,
my
wow.
memories of Japan as an accessible and yeah, their vehicles, their infrastructure, and also the people are very respectful.
Okay, yeah.
Big
The
thing.
founder of Tabifolk, the first episode, he talked about living in Japan, because he lives in Japan and he runs Accessible Japan, and so we did talk a lot about that, and there he did mention there were some like cultural differences where they're very like strict with like processes and whatnot,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, it definitely sounds like one of the top accessible destinations, internationally.
I think if you sort of took everything into account, I'd say it's got to be in the top 5 in my book anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that's great to hear, multiple people kind of reaffirming that. Um, but back to enable my travel, do you have any future plans for it? Like,
Yeah,
um,
a lot of too many. Because we're trying to. I spend a lot of my time trying to educate the industry
yes,
and hotel groups. The travel industry and hotel groups, and it is a hard slog. I'll be honest.
yeah,
But getting in with the travel industry in general, for example, if you've got someone working in a high street travel agency and someone goes and says, I want to take this tour and my wife's in a wheelchair, she's got multiple sclerosis or whatever.
yeah,
A lot of people don't, they're thinking, God, what do I do?
yeah,
How do I cope with it? I've never done this. And so one of the things I'm trying to develop is a training program for the industry
oh, okay, that sounds like a great
that
idea.
they can sign up to and get some sort of recognition that
Yeah, that would be great. Like like a
they've done this course.
certification or verification.
But it's a long job. It's a
Yeah,
long term thing. The other thing is to increase our visibility and get more people to know about us, because that's what we're about. We just want, we spend a lot of time producing what we produce on our website, so we need people to use it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's
Where
there for.
Yeah, where can people go to learn more?
Just enablemytrip.com.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
It's easy. The other thing, I'm trying to encourage more people, like yourself, to write any articles that are really useful to others that we can publish and
Okay,
share.
yeah.
Because anyone can sign up on a website as a guest article writer.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll
It's,
definitely you know,
it's
check
a
it out.
self sign up.
Okay.
So anyone can anywhere in the world can become a guest article writer.
Okay, nice. Yeah, because we're actually streaming this to the World is Accessible
Yeah.
Facebook group. So I know there's a lot of writers and bloggers on there. So that would be great.
I mean, even if it's just sort of sharing what you've already written, what you've
Yeah.
put somewhere else and put it on our website. I mean, the more the merrier, as we say.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's great.
The other thing we're trying to develop, but I mean, this is to make our website a bit more up there with the technologies, videos, and podcasts, and these are all the things in the future that we want to do a bit more of. And this opportunity today is the start for us, really.
Okay, great.
Doing this. The other thing that's not directly related to accessible travel is we do have the function in our website. We haven't used it yet to actually list properties, accessible properties for rental and sale.
Okay.
There's nothing in the UK that I know of that's any good.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. From how you described it, it didn't sound too you
No.
know,
So, for example, you want to move somewhere from one city to another, and you
yeah.
think, well, there's no good me looking at all the real estate because
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I need an accessible property.
Yes. Yep.
And to my knowledge, how do you start?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's even, here, in the States, like close when you get closer to the city, you have more resources, for mobility and
Yeah,
transportation and things like that. So I think, yeah, that's definitely important for people, especially if they become newly disabled, because there's so much of here, and I'm assuming worldwide, there's a lack of accessible housing. So yeah, so that's a big thing. That would be
totally.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the normal real estate agents are not specialists in that.
No, no, no. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not their core market. And
Yes. Yeah. Um, well, great. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap it up?
yeah, a couple of things.
Okay, sure.
Just going back to what you were saying about catering for the disabled market.
Yeah.
I mentioned briefly there's a hotel near me that's done just that.
Okay.
Now, I used to know this hotel many years ago. I used to go there a lot for meetings and things. And the lady who ran it, later in life, she developed multiple sclerosis and she ended up in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And she said to her three kids, "Our hotel is awful." And they said, "What do you mean, Mum?" "I can't get around.
Yeah.
It's terrible."
Yeah.
And she said, "We're going to change all this." And she started the process before she sadly passed away.
Oh,
But her
okay.
kids have taken up this idea and run with it big time
Oh, great.
because they've spent over, I think it's about
Oh,
£250,000,
wow.
and they have lots of accessible rooms with rolling chairs, with Hoyer type ceiling track lifts,
Okay.
and profiling beds, shower chairs, trolley, the whole lot, swimming pool accessible. It's the only hotel I know in the UK also that's got a sensory room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's great.
It's got a sensory room, and there's an organisation called Changing Places. They have these massive toilet facilities, bathrooms,
Okay.
restrooms, with hoists, changing beds, everything.
Okay.
And they've got one of those in their hotel.
Oh, okay. Like a family.
Yeah, it's massive. Uh,
Okay. Restroom. Okay.
the hotel is called the Marsham Court.
Oh, okay. Great.
Marsham Court in Bournemouth in the UK,
Okay.
and
Great.
they have conference facilities at this hotel. So those accessible rooms are nearly always full
Oh, wow.
because companies wanting to hold a conference can include everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Everyone can, anyone with mobility challenge can stay there. And the other thing they've got is a family room
Okay.
for an accessible family room because it's like sometimes you go onto a hotel website and the maximum you can have in an accessible room is two people.
Yes.
Better
Yep.
push three.
Yep.
So families end up having to book two rooms,
Yep.
and you may or may not get an interconnecting door.
Yep. Yep.
So they've got family rooms that are accessible as well.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So they're really good. And the other thing was just to try and share our workload, if you like, with anyone who's interested in helping us.
Okay.
Wherever in the world you may be,
Yeah, no,
And I'm
exactly.
particularly looking at people who are living, with some sort of disability, who know what this is all about.
Yes.
Not people who are trying to dictate or decide for people with mobility, what's best for.
Yeah, yeah, that's saying nothing about us without us,
Exactly.
yeah.
Um, so anyone who wants to become, I can say the word ambassador, or become a person who's intelligence in their own country or the town,
Okay.
or has got information to share, please contact me. You know, I've got a lot of things that need to be done if people are interested
Yep.
and they want to be involved.
Okay.
Because we've only got so many hands here.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So
That
we're a non-profit and we do rely on volunteers a lot.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure, that sounds like a very exciting opportunity to collaborate and
Yeah,
probably learn more too as well. So I hope that some viewers are definitely interested. Um, but yeah, that I love the work that you're doing. It's very exciting, and all of your plans sound really exciting as well. And it's like step by step, it's charities like Enable My Trip and others that are making the world more accessible. So I appreciate all of your efforts, and I'm excited to learn more and get more involved myself. So I want to thank you for being a guest today. I've really enjoyed talking with you. It was a great conversation. And yeah, so anyone else listening, definitely check out Enable My Trip. It's at enablemytrip.com. And also check out tabifolk.com and make a profile. So thank you for everyone for listening. And if you have any questions, even if you're watching after the fact, leave them below and we'll make sure we pass them along to Simon and get them answered. So Simon, I hope you have a great rest of the day.
thank you, Danielle. And for those who've watched the live stream, thank you for watching. And I hope we can answer your questions in a meaningful way and increase the visibility of provisions for people with mobility challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.